is the Dubplate Special Master.
Live and direct.
Breakfast with CubCamTV.
Trickstar Radio.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Just gone 4 minutes past 9 here. Trickstar Radio. We are live inside the building, streaming live across the south coast of the UK, and of course international via the app and the website and everything good like that. It's time for the interview hour, people. My favourite part of the show, where we get into a conversation with a different artist or creative in general, and discuss their projects and what they've got going on. We're back in the building for another live one today, which is very exciting, in our secret location that no one knows about whatsoever. No one knows the actual location. And we've got a man like GiwHa in the building with us. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing good. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
I know.
But you seem to have remained very, very active during that time period. We were looking earlier.
Yeah.
It's been about 9 months since you were last in the building.
Yeah.
I'm going to open this up with a very general question. What's been happening, sir? What's been going on with you?
Well, it's been tough, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I've had to just find a way of doing other things. Because we couldn't really gig, couldn't do anything, so I've had to just find a way of making money, using all the skills that that's not got anything to do with music at all. So it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I managed to sort some things out, and now we're back. So I've been creating some music as well. So I've been working on I've been working on 2 albums actually. So obviously the first album is what we're going to talk about today. It's been exciting as well.
Yeah.
And also gigs are starting to come back now, so I've been DJing a lot now, so it's nice. Been playing a lot of football as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, can't complain.
Awesome.
Can't complain.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Staying busy over the last, we're going to say nearly 2 years at this point, is definitely the thing that has kept a lot of people going, finding things to do, finding things to occupy the time, and of course, finding things to fill the wallet at the same time as things move. And obviously, during our last conversation, we spoke a lot about that sort of live atmosphere and playing live and performing live, and how much of a big part of your life that had become.
Yeah.
Kind of going back into that scenario now with things opening up, do you feel almost overhyped for things? Is it overwhelming? How are things from your kind of point of view when you're back in that environment?
Well, I think it's not overhyped actually. I think it's actually just coming back gradually, if I'm going to be honest. But maybe because I haven't really played any live gigs at the moment. I've done mostly DJ gigs. I think people are easing into it. I think most of the places I've played, I know how the turnout used to be, but I can see that the turnout is not as much as before. So I think people are just easing into it, and gradually it's going to pick up, but I'm planning to play live very soon, hopefully, trying to get some live material together and get a venue actually where we can play some music, because I actually organised a gig at the Brunswick. Okay. That was on the
which is pretty good for live music.
Yeah, I think I did that on the last Sunday of July, and I was really pretty surprised by the turnout, because I was expecting no one to come, to be honest. Because it was in a basement somewhere, and I was thinking, nobody's gonna come, because nobody wants to stay in a basement, especially nowadays when But it just turned out to be really nice, and It was good. The acts were amazing. People really had a good time, and I'm like, oh yeah, gotta keep it going. So yeah, I've got a few plans to set up some gigs and get some other venues and get other venues interested.
Get everything back into rotation again. Of course, I definitely feel they're the best gigs though. The ones you sort of I'm not sure if it's going to go, and then suddenly it's packed, and I was mentally preparing myself to kind of just get through it and then go, and then suddenly, wow, there's way more people here than I thought there was going to be.
Exactly.
But definitely, man. I mean, obviously, during that time as well, you said you've been working on a fair bit of music, and the first thing we're going to jump into today is obviously talking about that first single we opened up with, Set You Free. Talk to me about the response on this one. It sounds very, very crispy the way it's been put together. Very precise in its production as well. So talk to me about this tune. How did it come together?
It's an interesting one actually, because I made it in 2014.
Oh wow.
That was a long time ago.
Oh wow.
Because
it's all smoke and mirrors these days.
It was a long time ago I made that song. I made it in a studio in Soho in London, through someone I used to know called Ruben. he introduced me to some guys. One is called Richard, and there's another one called Ari. And Ari actually played guitar on it, played acoustic guitar on it. And you know, we just got in the studio, and it was one of those times when I felt like I was kind of like, I'm still trying to figure things out, but I know the direction I want to go now, you know. But at that point, I wasn't too sure what direction I really wanted to take the music. So it was quite interesting for me to be in a scenario where, you know, I've just been put in front of a keyboard and, you know, some instruments, and for me to just come up with something, because it was really quite, you know, spontaneous. You know, we just went into the studio and they were like, oh, we've got something for you, some instruments here for you. Would you like to, you know, make a beat or something? I was like, oh, cool, let's give it a go. So, you know, the inspiration behind it really was the track by Notorious B.I.G.
Okay.
It's funny because you know Big Papa by Notorious.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was that track because doom 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 doom. So it was that kind of bass line I was hearing, but then I switch it up to doom 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 doom. So I just kind of like switched it up because I like to take my like sounds I hear from all the music and kind of like put it into my own perspective.
Of course.
And that's how Set You Free kind of came along. And you know, I just added everything else. I added the keyboard, I added the drums, and this guy Richard was really good at you know, mastering and mixing, and everything was done in a day actually. And yeah, I was just there. I was just listening to the track. I was just there. I just really didn't know what to do with it, because I was thinking, should I give a singer and stuff, or you know, but I just kept it there. I just never really like did anything with it. But then, you know, 2020, I was just like, you know, I've got quite a lot of instrumentals now. Maybe I can just drop another instrumental album, because, you know, I dropped Lost in Beats 1, which is like an instrumental album. So I was just like, why not? I think we need a kind of sequel. So yeah, I just thought I would include it in the album, because I think it's actually a really, really good instrumental. And I was like, yeah, it's worth for people to listen to.
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing.
So
Okay.
I've sat on it for a while.
I mean, this is why this is such an interesting conversation today, because you are quite multifaceted when it comes to the sort of musical edge. There are the instrumental side, there's the live side, there's the actual building of instrumental side going on as well, and there are so many different kind of facets to what you do as a musician. Like, just as like a kind of outsider kind of question, do you enjoy that almost unpredictability of not knowing what's going to happen next in regards to the music you're making?
I actually love it, because that's what I base my music around. I based it on like, you know, just experimenting, just like being spontaneous, not trying to be too directional, like, but you know, it still has some kind of direction, but it's like, you know the elements where you're pulling it from, you know, it's always soul, jazz, funk, hip hop, R&B, you know, electronic, you know, it's always all of that, but it's about making a mesh of, you know, all of those elements, and not really thinking this is what I want to sound like, but just kind of just putting everything in there and see what comes out. That's my own thinking.
I mean, the process seems to work, because every time we have a conversation about new music and I get new stuff sent over, it slaps. So
thanks, bro.
The process is clearly working.
Really appreciate that.
It's clearly working. We're going to continue then looking into new music next as we get into this one. It goes by the name Candlelicious,
nice.
and it's another one of the tracks you sent over today.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this tune again, how it came together, and what we can expect as listeners as we jump into it.
It's very interesting, because that actually was inspired by a song by Cameo Candy.
Okay.
That's why it's called Candlelicious. Yeah, I was just hearing there. I was actually gonna remix the Candy song with that instrumental, and I decided to just release the instrumental for now, because when I sang the vocals on top of it, it worked, and I was just like, oh wow. And the very interesting fact, because I did a little video about the instrumental, me singing Candlelicious, and tag Candy, the Cameo themselves, and they reposted it on their profile, and they really liked it. I was just like, oh, this got to be, you know, out, and I think people need to hear this, because, you know, the people that inspired the song as actually,
if they're feeling
it, then why not? Why not put it out there?
100%.
So yeah, that's how kind of Alicia came around, and it was really short, like kind of interlude, kind of, because it's kind of the interlude of the album about to release, because it's a very short instrumental. I didn't want it to be too long, because I didn't think it needed to be too long. I think it was quite short, snappy, and all the elements that I want is in there. So yeah, that's pretty much how kind of Alicia came about, really.
Amazing, man. Well, we're going to jump into this one now, and then we're going to move into a bit more of a conversation about the album specifically, discussing what we can expect from it, the general layout, and really dive into everything about the album, which I'm very much looking forward to. It's just gone 9:15 here on Trickstar Radio. We are live in the building with GiwHa. This is Breakfast with Kovu's interview hour. One time, very quickly, how can people find you on socials if they haven't started following you already?
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at GiwHa. So yeah,
fantastic
check
stuff.
it out.
Nice and simple. I love it when it's simple. It makes life so much easier. We're going to get to this one now then. Keep it locked, people, and don't go anywhere in the building till 10. Oh, yes. Just saying, off air with that one. Works perfectly as an interlude, not only for the album, but also for the interview we're currently having. A beautiful time. Fantastic stuff. Right, let's dive into a conversation about this album then. I've been gagging to get into this conversation.
Nice.
So, talk to me about the project as a whole, the idea behind it, and then obviously how the track listing has come together.
So, when I made Lost in Beats Volume 1, it was more about my I was trying to show people what I can do as a producer, and it's always been about that, because I know I can sing, I do all the things as well, but I think my main strength in music is actually putting sounds together and actually making beats or putting instrumentals together, because I do that very easily. So Lost in Beat Volume 1 was kind of like a sequel to Lost in Beat Volume 2. Sorry, Lost in Beat Volume 2 was a sequel to Lost in Beat Volume 1. And the idea of Lost in Beat Volume 2 is to show the growth from Lost in Beat Volume 1, and also show some of the influences that I have picked up along the way after creating Lost in Beats Volume 1.
If you were just to name one of those influences that you could safely say that wasn't there on the first one,
I would say a lot of electronic.
Okay.
Like K-Tronada, Homo, all of this type of people, because I wasn't really listening to them before Lost in Beat Volume 1. So, and there's a track on the album called I Wanna Love Like That, in Lost in Beat Volume 2, which is proper kind of K-Tronada vibe. And I think there was a bit more electronic vibe to this compared to Lost in Beat Volume 1, where Lost in Beat Volume 1 is quite, it's got some electronic in there, but I think it's still a bit more raw and organic compared proper I would say your 90s J Dilla hip hop compared to this one, where
the slickness and the processing of
exactly. I'm experimenting with more synths, and there's more it's more electronic stuff on it. So yeah, I think that's the main difference. Although I haven't changed the direction that much, because it's still jazzy, it's still soulful, there's still a lot of hip hop.
It's almost the application slightly different rather than the influence.
Exactly.
To an extent. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, obviously with the album then, it's come together over the last few months or so, and now you're in a position where you are kind of doing that promo run, hence our conversation today.
Yeah, of course.
So when can people expect the full thing to be fully available?
September 14th.
So
that's when it's dropped. It's going to be dropped via Tangential Music, because they actually signed the album, and Lee's the founder of Tangential Music, and he worked with my dream producer J Dilla.
Okay.
So he signed the album, Welcome to Detroit album, and when we met each other at the radio station where I DJ at, so it's we've been talking about for a year now about just working together, but and when the opportunity just presented itself, I was just well, it's no brainer. If this guy has worked with one of my one of the famous most famous producers in the world, well,
I'm snapping your hand off for that one.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me not to work with him. So as soon as he gave me that offer, I was just yes, please. Like, it'd be great to, work with you. And he's a very, very genuine, honest, and a very nice guy. And, he's worked so hard to release this single, and he's also going to be working very hard to release this album as well. He's pitched my songs to a lot of playlisters. He's pitched my song to like few radio DJs, to mention people like Giles Peterson, Benji B. So we're looking at maybe next few months, maybe some really good things will come out from this.
Amazing, man.
And I'm working on the second album, which is going to be vocal. So it's like me singing on there. So it's not going to be instrumental, because I think I wanted this instrumental album to be like a little taste for for what's to come. Because
like it's the GiwHa starter.
Yeah,
like the starter of the
pretty much. Yeah, it was like it's like the starter. So you're gonna get the main course on my fourth album, where I'm delivering the music and also the vocals as well. Of course. So and he's gonna be signed. He's gonna be working with me on that. Lee's gonna be working with me on that. So I'm really excited, man. There's a lot of things that in the pipeline, and I just can't wait for people to hear it. And I can't wait for people to hear the single. I can't wait for people to hear this album. Spending quite a lot of time promoting now, especially the single. So yeah, good things are coming.
100%, man. And the thing is, I can tell from the enthusiasm with which you're kind of talking about the album how much it does kind of mean to yourself, and obviously working with Lee as well, how much that's kind of, I suppose, stoked the fire to an extent, kind of go, you know what, we're going to take this properly, we're going to run at it full throttle, and it's very clear to see. And we've got one more tune to jump into before we do finish up for the day. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in the building, running through stuff.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Lusting. Talk to me about this tune, how it came together, and as always, what we can expect to hear as the listeners.
Lusting was I just moved into a new house, and I was I went through a phase where I wasn't too inspired to make beats. That happens sometimes, I guess, to a lot of creators.
Yeah, it happens. The writer's block is.
Yeah, I got a bit of a writer's block, and I was just like, oh, whoa, what am I gonna do? And then I just thought, let me go on my computer and just like vibe out, right? So I turned on the computer, playing my keyboard a little bit, and then I got those chord progressions, and I was just like, oh, okay, we can take this somewhere, And then all of a sudden I got another chord progression. So it was like, if you listen to the song, it's like 3 parts of the song, and there's like 3 different vibes. And I just decided to put all of it together. And also, I was thinking about Jordan Rakai when I was making that, actually, because he's one of the person that I really like. I really like his music. I really love his voice, and I think he's influenced me a lot as well, because I went to see him live once, and it was just remarkable what he does. And one of my friends plays for him. He plays guitar for him. His name is Sheldon, and so it was just like, it would be great to make something that not like him, but that's inspired by him.
Of
I guess.
Of course.
And that's how Lusting came about. And I just put it together, and I got Herbie on the guitar, one of my very good friends, to play guitar on it, and it was amazing. It was really can't say anything else about it apart from the fact that when I made it, that's when I felt like, oh yeah, I'm on something here, because I made about, I don't know, 10 beats after that,
And it was almost like the key to
it was just like after that, it was just like, okay, now something's about to happen.
Amazing stuff. Well, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in, as always, bringing a lot of energy to the show. It's great to see you again, and I'm going to look very keenly for the release of the album. So there was the September, what date?
It was 14th
of September. It's available all stores, I believe.
Everywhere.
Fantastic stuff. So we're going to look forward to that date. We're going to round off with this one. It goes by the name Lusting. GiwHa has been in the building. As always, you can check back every interview we do via the Trickstar Radio app and SoundCloud, so get involved with those. Following that, we're going to get into the Dub Shack Spotlight, looking at the history of Dennis Brown. So keep it locked and don't go anywhere.
This is Breakfast with KXVU, bringing you their morning flavours on Trickstar Radio.
Trickstar Radio.